Museum.
Thank you. You know, the journey here started back in 2005 when Paul Costello with Vermont Council on Rural Development came and did the first round of the Creative Economy forums that brought over 400 people to a number of places in the city, and folks from the surrounding communities came as well, so we could define what our future was going to be, so we could tell our own story. A number of projects, a number of initiatives were developed, and it took not people like me, not the knucklehead politicians, to figure out what we wanted to do. It was a bottom-up, grassroots, passionate, energetic group of volunteers that started that process in 2005. And in 2010, we had seen such success that BCRD came back for the second round, and the community decided we wanted to have a children's museum. And that's why we're here today, because the community came together, as it always does, identified where we wanted to go, what we wanted to be, and now a few short years later, here we are. And I couldn't start to thank everyone who was part of this process, but one of them is going to speak directly after me, and that's Paul Gell. Because without Paul, everything wonderful that happened, the Creative Economy Initiative would not have happened. So thank you, Paul, for everything you've done.
I have to use my notes or else we'd be here all night. Exactly 5 years ago this month, the Rutland Creative Economy held an open forum at the Paramount Theater. A night to honor the life of community leader Mark Skakel. A night to reach out and recognize and establish two new working groups with strong creative initiatives supported by new volunteers and new community leaders. When it came time to vote on two new group initiatives that night, establishing a children's museum won in a landslide, and it was the top pick of nearly 400 voters that night. The initial meetings post-forum were a bit of a challenge, for a portion of the group wanted a railroad museum, and the other portion wanted an interactive children's museum that catered to interests to preteens. Months followed and group leadership changed. It was evident with Chris Ittori and Myra Peffer as co-chairs and a core group of volunteers that the Wonder Feet Children's Museum was on its way to something special. On open Friday nights and Saturdays during the summer Friday night live events in the King Furniture location proved successful for 2 summers. Then on to the Loris building just down the street for a year of being open 3 or 4 days a week. It was still not enough to meet the demand, and folks were being turned away because of fire code capacity. In May of 2014, it was now evident that now was the time to reach out to the public and local pledge holders to support and establish a more permanent space with an executive director. And here we are, 5 years later, in this beautiful Tuttle Block space. Thank you.
Great to see so many people here this evening. An event as important as this should have a really grand literary tribute. Unfortunately, I don't have it, but I do have this. I'm so happy to be here, don't you know? There is no beer, but the night does glow. Myra is here, so happy and gay, but she does fear what I might say. We gather for kids, many and more, some off the grid, some off the floor. We have dickory docks and magic cadoodles, colorful chalks, kits and caboodles. So much to do, so much to learn. Kids will debut and take their turn. Parents, silly and proud, regress willy-nilly, stop searching the cloud. The best of times for our good city, this space sublime, and you're committed, will sure to impress as God does bless. So, farewell to all, be happy and free. I head to the stall where I must be.
That's great. So Danny Batista was going to share also tonight, but he's ill. So I just have to say thank you to GE for all that they have done to make the exhibit in the back happen. And if you haven't got a chance to play, go play with Legos and try the new track and try the robot. So there's a lot to do, and I'm so grateful to Ron and Dave and all the work that they've done to put this together, and they're still doing some great things for us. So thanks to GE. Besides the city, they're our biggest donor. Okay, the city, city gave us the $75,000. The GE is our next biggest donor. So, and Suzanne Eagles is our board president, and so she's going to share now.
Suzanne.
So I'm going to just briefly speak on two things, and that is, in case you didn't know, which I think you all realize, that the benefits of this museum for our families and the benefits to our children. So I've filled many roles in my life so far. I've been a teacher, and I've been a advocate and a crisis worker, a director, a trainer, a psychologist, a principal, but I have to say that the most important and most demanding job that I've filled is the job of a parent. And it's the job that has had me seeking the most help. No degree has helped me with many of the problems that I have. It's taught me comfort. It's brought me to tears of frustration. Parenting is an important job. It's a tough job. So Wonder Feet is here to support parents. We need places to bring our kids that are safe. We need places that are contained, that are stimulating. We need places that we can be engaged in fun play with our kids. We're not going to be competing with television. We're not competing with all sorts of other distractions. This is a place for us to engage with our kids. It's also a place for us to develop positive relationships with our kids and relationships with our neighbors. I've seen many groups of parents sitting around the sand table feeling comforted in watching somebody else's kid having a temper tantrum. Not just my kid. Absolutely. And also just watching how other people handle situations and watching, well, how do you act? I'm not really sure on how to act at a tea party. Oh, that's how you do it. I think I can do this with my kid. So it's a great place for parents to relate with each other and to have company. Because being a parent is tough. It can be boring, it can be frustrating, but it's really important. So this is a great place for parents. Now the next thing I want to say is how does this benefit our kids? So this is where I get a little bit psychologist sounding. Brain development. Think of a plant growing and think of all the roots coming down from the plant. That's our brains growing. And the more stimulation we give our brains, the better we are. The more we can cope, the more we can relate, the better success we are likely to have. So the way that we grow those roots and the way that we develop is through stimulation, through positive relationships, through opportunities, through sights, through sounds, through being creative, through playing, through running your hands through beans, through acting. So our kids that come here to play, they're growing their brains. So something that's really important to remember too is that more than 85% of brain growth happens before kids are 5. So these early years are crucial to develop brains and early childhood development. So Wonder Feet builds strong kids, Wonder Feet builds strong families, and when we have strong families and kids, we have a strong community. So I really can't say enough how much I appreciate the time and energy that we've given to Wonder Feet not only are you giving to our kids and making a really fun place to play, but you're building our community and our community's future. So thank you very much. Please eat. We have lots of food. This is so beautiful. You think that it's one of the displays. It's really for you to eat. So please enjoy. Thank you so much.
Quickly, just want to tell you about the success. We opened the doors February 8th, and we made our annual budget that we extrapolating being open more than 2 days a week, that we would bring in 4,700 people in the year of 2015. We've already brought in over 3,000 people in just 2 months. Okay? Thank you. I see so many faces, people who've donated financially, who've helped us with remodeling this place and making it happen. And they gave in-kind gifts and of their time. And so it just wouldn't have happened without this community. The community asked for it, and the community made it happen. Okay, so that's what really the crux of the whole thing is. This community made it happen. So thank you all for all of your support. And now we'll turn over to Tom. And
We'll cut the ribbon?
yes.
All right, so where's the mayor?